World War II officially ended in 1945. Celebrations erupted. Cities lit up. Soldiers went home. But in remote jungles, frozen islands, and silent seas, men kept fighting. Not because they were cruel. Not because they were mad. But because nobody told them the war was over. History books tell us wars end with signatures. Reality is messier. This is the story of soldiers who fought a war that technically didn't exist anymore. Men trapped between loyalty and truth. Between orders and reality. And for some of them, the war lasted decades longer than anyone remembers. August 1945. Japan surrendered. Germany had already fallen months earlier. The world exhaled. But victory required communication. And communication doesn't travel easily through dense jungles, broken radios, destroyed supply lines, enemy-controlled territory. Thousands of soldiers were isolated. No orders. No confirmation. Only silence. And silence, in war, is dangerous. To understand why soldiers kept fighting, you must understand wartime psychology. Every army trained its men to believe one thing. The enemy will lie to make you surrender. Leaflets. Fake. Radio messages. Enemy tricks. Newspapers. Propaganda. So when rumors spread that the war was over, many soldiers thought it was deception. Surrender meant death. Or worse, dishonor. Especially for Japanese soldiers, whose doctrine taught capture is worse than death. One of the most famous cases began in the Philippines. Lieutenant Hiro Onoda, an intelligence officer, was stationed on Lubang Island. His final orders in 1945 were simple. Conduct guerrilla warfare. Sabotage enemy operations. Never surrender. Never take your own life. And most importantly, no matter what happens, we will come back for you. Then, silence. Onoda and his small group survived by stealing rice, killing livestock, ambushing villagers they believed were enemies. Leaflets dropped from planes said, "The war is over. Come down from the mountains." They assumed it was American psychological warfare. Years passed. One by one, Onoda's companions died. Some in skirmishes, some by illness. Onoda stayed alone. Still fighting. In 1974, nearly 30 years after World War II ended, a Japanese traveler found Onoda. The soldier still wore his uniform. Still cleaned his rifle. Still believed the war continued. Onoda said only one thing would make him stop. "Bring my commanding officer. I will not surrender to anyone else." The Japanese government located his former commander, now an old man. He flew to the island. Stood in front of Onoda. And officially relieved him of duty. Onoda wept. The war was finally over. Onoda wasn't the only one. Across Asia and Europe, Japanese holdouts survived into the 1950s. German submarines surfaced years later. Soviet soldiers guarded empty borders. Allied pilots were stranded behind enemy lines. Some never returned. Not because they died, but because history moved on without them. Several German U-boats were still at sea when Germany surrendered. Orders never reached them. One submarine reportedly surfaced near Argentina months later. The crew was confused. The world had changed. Uniforms were meaningless. And the war they trained for was history. In Eastern Europe and remote Arctic outposts, Soviet soldiers waited. 4 months. Sometimes years. Orders were delayed. Supplies stopped. Some units guarded positions that no longer mattered. They weren't forgotten intentionally. They were lost to logistics. Imagine living every day believing the enemy is nearby. Surrender equals death. Trust equals weakness. Even when the war ends, the mind doesn't. Many returning soldiers struggled to adapt. Some refused modern clothes. Some slept with weapons. Some never spoke about the war again. For them, peace felt unreal. These soldiers weren't fools. They were disciplined. They followed orders perfectly. And that was the tragedy. They did exactly what they were trained to do. Even when the world no longer needed it. Loyalty became isolation. Honor became imprisonment. History loves clear endings. Dates. Signatures. Ceremonies. It struggles with messy truths. These men didn't fit victory parades. They reminded the world that war doesn't end for everyone at the same time. Picture a soldier alone in a jungle. The gun still loaded. The uniform faded. The war long over. He wasn't defeated. He was forgotten. World War II ended in 1945. But for some men, it lasted a lifetime. If you enjoyed this documentary and want more untold war stories, like this video, it helps the channel reach more people. Subscribe if you want to explore military history, forgotten battles, and real stories that history books rarely tell. And stay tuned. Because every week, we bring you another story that proves history is never as simple as we're taught.